Yeah, the real thing for me was Kaldi's opening hand. Not very good, not very interactive, and that is the matchup where they need to be interacting early.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. We're going to find out if he's made any adjustments for game number 4, because something's got to give. He needs to win 2 straight in this match to really be in a good spot for the playoffs. Otherwise, he's falling down and tied with a lot more players afterwards.
We kept talking about how this is going to be control, 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 and I made the joke coming in. They're just going to smork each other, and this is what we get. I can just picture them after this match and being like, you see what you've done, Hearthstone? You see what you did to us? Look what you did to us. But this is what happens when Kaldi.
Do you see what you get, Carla?
Yeah. This is what happens.
Do you see what you get when you mess with the warrior?
This is what happens when something like what Kaldi did in game 1. You know, he comes out just blistering with that deck, with aggro paladin, and Neirea queued up Druid thinking Kaldi was going to go into a control deck, and he's like, no, I'm really just going to beat you up, and then it just degenerates into this.
Fine.
Yeah.
Fine. You want to play that way? Fine.
Now, this matchup's an interesting one because Neirea has in his hand one of the most, if not the most important card in this matchup, and by that I mean Leroy Jenkins. No, I joke. I mean Unleash the Hounds, because Kaldi's deck, they can't really afford to not play into it.
Yeah, that's spot on with that analysis. The big turn here now is that usually Haunted Creeper into Knife Juggler in these 1 health battles is a big problem, but this is why Shield and Minibot is such a key minion in this deck.
That card's broken, Nathan.
Yeah, this is not a reasonable spot for him. And does Neirea really want to invest 4 damage into this right now? I feel like that gives him the best spot, though.
Well, here's the thing. I almost feel like if you're not going to Glaive Zuko here, you have to Knife Juggler because you have to do something, right? And then if you run into the Abusive Sergeant, you could most likely pick off the shield, and you have a second copy of Knife Juggler. That's why I think this play is okay. And there you go. Now, he wants this one to go face. All right, not perfect, but Kaldi's going to get to trade up here.
Yeah, I think another thing that's happening here is with this play, Neirea maybe feels like he's sending the message to Kaldi, like, I've given up my Knife Juggler. I don't have another one here. And so Kaldi can just play into this as he normally would.
Yeah, and Kaldi needed one of, that was an aggressive play here, but if one of those knives lands, sorry, I kind of got a little dyslexic on my syllables there, then he's actually pretty far ahead, but the Glaive Zuko would have been able to punish him.
Yeah, so kind of getting back to the point I was making here, Neirea playing this Knife Juggler gives the impression to Kaldi that maybe that was his only Knife Juggler. So Kaldi's just going to play his game as normal. He's not really going to consider Knife Juggler Unleash the Hounds. On turn 5, he's just going to play straight into it. Not that he wouldn't have anyway. Oftentimes he's not going to have a way to play around that, but this kind of reinforces that notion.
Now, Kaldi drawing one of his most important cards in the matchup. Some of these decks have 1 or 2 Annoyatrons in them, or maybe a Defender of Argus. Wow, that's a pretty big draw here. Or maybe a Defender of Argus, and those are huge in this matchup. That's how you recover or set up boards where you can kind of play around Unleash the Hounds, because that card is so problematic for this deck.
Neirea's also got to be worried about his hand size here, too. If you shut off Divine Favor in this match, that's a completely dead draw at that point.
Yeah, usually Divine Favor is actually the worst card for the Paladin deck here because you're going to have one in your hand on like turn 5 or 6, and they have 1 or 2 cards, and so do you. So you might be paying 3 mana for a card or none, because like you can never actually just get it out of your hand in time with also, doing things to the board. Now, drawing Consecration, big for Kaldi here. This is a recovery spell, one of the only ones that he usually can have to where he could take care of something like Unleash the Hounds if, disaster strikes like we see is going to happen next turn.
This is a really interesting bluff that Neirea ran too. Trying to actually buy a little bit more time. I think with trying to say that this is Explosive Trap over to Kaldi. But Kaldi understands that there's no way he's going to be able to legitimately fight through this, so I don't know if that's the best play.
You see Neirea kind of rub his hands together here, and you see the grin on his face. Here we go. Because not only does he get to Knife Juggler Unleash here, Kaldi has to attack this Knife Juggler with whatever's left over. He does have the Consecration, but Neirea doesn't know that. But in his mind, he has to attack this Knife Juggler. Going to face is not good.
That one's okay.
All right, good eye, Sniper.
I love that band.
Oh, I mean, this guy is on point for the first one.
Yep.
There you go. That was almost perfect.
That was about as close to perfect as you're going to get in this situation. And so this board is going to get swept up, but he remains with the Snake Trap, gets in a couple points of damage, forces Kaldi to use his Consecrate to take care of this board. And True Silver Champion, that means there's no other action from Kaldi this turn. He's just going to Consecration Hero Power.
Yeah, he's going to Consecration and make a 1/1 here. Ooh, this is going to be...
This is actually, you know what, now that I think about this, this is totally fine. Because Neirea is going to feel pressured to develop this board at this point. And so he's just getting more value out of the Consecrate. He's at 24. He's got plenty of life to give.
No, I like this play, actually, yeah.
True Silver Champion was actually the best draw here.
Yeah, plus if he draws like another weapon, this actually, advances his board by a full turn, the way the game is going to play out.
Yeah.
And Neirea's just going to get busy here.
Well, the question is, did paying this life end up haunting him in this spot? He's falling to 12, and Neirea's got Leroy Jenkins in his hand.
And quick shot.
Yeah, he's counting his damage right now. You go upstairs with this.
Yeah, that puts him to 12. You get half his life total of Leroy.
He's gonna pick this off though.
Well, he's got 12 just with his weapon and the cards in his hand, by the way. So all he has to do is not die this turn.
Kaldi isn't sorry.
Sorry, not sorry?
Yeah,
Is that what it should
maybe
be?
I don't know if Kaldi's the one who's sorry in this one.
Yeah, because
and may end up being sorry, but
Neirea just
he's 1 damage off this
he's
turn.
1 damage off.
He's actually 2 damage off now with the Truce over attack. This one's tight. Unleash the Hounds. He's a little bit off of doing that. I smell quick shot hero power.
Every time I see this card, I think of Mr. Smithers from The Simpsons.
I can just see Neirea being.
The Hounds.
You can just see Neirea playing Mr. Burns.
Yeah.
Dr. Burns.
Dr. Burns. Yeah. I don't think he has a degree. Mr. Burns, not Neirea. I have no idea if Neirea has one either.
Of course, Neirea's got a degree. He's the smartest guy in the world.
I was gonna say he probably does. He's pretty smart.
No damage drawn from Kaldi. And no way to actually extend his life total either. So this match over to Neirea. I think his key ups are very good here, but he also drew a lot of key cards in these matchups. Kaldi not able to get quite the damage he wanted, and Leroy Jenkins is going to take this one home.
He's going to show him his whole hand here as well. We're going to get
all these.
Yeah, and get all these hounds in here.
What a match from Neirea. You know, we said that this one, we expected to be a long, grueling control battle.
Not at all.
But then Kaldi he threw the first cheap shot here. So yeah. I was like, fine, we're going to fight that way. We're going to fight that way. Brings Hunter, brings more Hunter, and brings more Hunter to this one. Ends up bringing it home.